You know what, Steve, let's talk about that, the ray of hope for the future, because I have seen a hardening in a good way of the right, of the base, of things they want, of things they demand. Yes, they're still lost in many ways. We all are lost in many ways, but they are getting better, right? Is that just a product of our desperation?
Now, I agree with Matt that I think our base is the most based it has ever been. The problem is the opportunities for agency and representation are the fewest they have ever been. And I look at where I live in my home state of Iowa. I was part of a group of people, a very small group, and we spent a decade making Iowa, I would argue, a state redder than Texas. We were the first state to reopen by gubernatorial decree during COVID. We were the first state to have a return to not just high school attendance, but high school sports. If you lived, except for a few weeks maybe, if you lived in Iowa during COVID, you lived a dramatically different experience than you lived almost anywhere else in America, with very limited exception, Florida included. Why did that happen? Well, we had some unique assets. At the time, I was on a statewide radio station that was the only statewide media entity in Iowa, and so it was the most prominent platform. There were a few strategically located people and organizations that once I could deliver a message, could then corral those people and channel them into a movement of activists and cultivate them to become candidates for legislature and things of that nature. And so the problem we have, though, is that perfect storm that we were able to do in Iowa with very limited media markets. So if you had control of one media market, you had the main one, Des Moines, you had the whole state. It's hard to do that in Texas, where you got, 7 or 8 top 100 television markets. It's hard to do that in a lot of states. It's hard to find people that won't sell out. It's hard to find people that are willing to push back against the system and take the hate for it. I got to tell you guys, the Republican Party tried to get me canned on WHO all the time. And, the Republican governor called my program director demanding my firing at the time. So, it's not easy to do what we did in Iowa. You take a lot of crap for it, for challenging the Republican Party from the right. And there's not a lot of money to be made there. And that's why it doesn't often happen.
Matt, let's wrap up with this. You sound like you are more hopeful, perhaps than I am, maybe more than Steve is. I don't want to put words in his mouth, for the future of the right. Now, I feel like there's a lot of hope for states, like you pointed out, states like Texas, Iowa, Florida, as they get redder. But you sound like you're a little bit more hopeful than me.
Well, probably in a way yes and a way no. I think I might be more hopeful in that I firmly believe that red states are going to continue to grow stronger, that the base is going to push for actual leadership. And look, for the most part, they're just not leaders at all. They're placeholders. They don't do anything. So getting anyone in there who has 3 brain cells that aren't fighting each other and actually has some kind of executive competence or legislative competence is going to radically change the game. And I think people really want that. And there will be incentives to red state leaders to be drawn to the situation to help better these states. So I see that as enormously positive, and I don't think you can even stop it. I think that the sorting that's going on is not as bad as people think. It's actually reddening a lot of these places, but of course that's very different than what we see nationally. And there I would be, very depressing if you allowed me to go on about it, because I think there the National Republican Party is in danger of destroying itself and the Republican Party itself. There will still be red state leaders and red state leadership. That is the place where we can reform and there can be a resurgence, a renaissance. But nationally, we're 7 years past 2016, right? We've blown by, and these people haven't learned a damn thing.
You want to watch our special on George Washington? It's freaking awesome. Well, you can. All you have to do is become a First TV supporter. That gives you access to all of our specials on demand, and it's cake. All you have to go to is thefirsttv.com/support. Thefirsttv.com/support. Become a supporter. Enjoy learning about George Washington.